Hello, nerds. It's ya boy. I, I, I don't know why I feel like doing tier lists again, but I feel like doing tier lists again. So here we are. We're doing tier lists again. So Scott Junn released a custom tier list for Dead by Daylight player archetypes. Now, these pictures are all very, very self-explanatory. Obviously, nothing needs to be explained about any of them, but just in case they do, I will be here to make sure that you are aware of what they are, what they mean, and what they do. Alright? Sound good? I think it sounds good. Now, the first one that we have is The first one that we have is survivors, SWF survivors in public matches. These are the people who play the game 3-4 hours a day, and they just go into public matches among weaker players in order to shit on the killer. Why are you here? Why are you here? I'll be looking at it from both perspectives where applicable. Like, as a survivor, you might not notice it, while you've also got, on the killer side, it's just somebody being annoying. This is the equivalent of somebody picking the nurse and slugging people every game, for Survivor. They're generally not all that fun. They're just not very fun at all. They're just D tier. End of discussion. No, don't even need to explain it after that. Next up over here we have just Overkill. The Overkiller. This is somebody who plays. This is the killer who plays every single match like it's a competitive match. Like they're playing as Blight or Nurse or Spirit. And they have only the absolute best add-ons, and they have four slowdown perks. It doesn't matter if you're playing with a bunch of newbies or you're playing with the best SWF on the planet. This killer is going to just absolutely make sure that your day is miserable. Now, if you know what you're doing, the Overkiller can be kind of fun. However, most people in this game don't seem to know what they're doing, and so when they run into this, it's just, guess I die. So I think they're just a D tier. The 8-hook Chad requires a bit more explanation. So, the 8-hook killer is somebody who actively keeps track of who is on hook, who has been hooked, and how many times they've been hooked. These people absolutely refuse to kill somebody until their little red dial is at 8 hooks. Now, some people might die before that because they just want to give up and move on to the next game. That's not their fault. These are generally the people that are fun. They don't tunnel people, or they don't camp people until that's the only option that they have left to them. They're generally pretty fun to be against because you know that, if you're having a bad time, so is everybody else on the team. So, and you can guarantee that they haven't chased after anybody more than they should. Unless the only reason that they will tunnel somebody is if they are on first hook and no one else is. And everybody else is on second hook. Archive challenges. Archive challenge players have a nasty reputation to throw the game. I do the archive challenges, but I don't throw the game in the process unless the game's already lost. These are the people who will refuse to do generators, refuse to do healing. It's very important that they get all of the totems done first. It's very important that they do that. Going against killer, they're just being weird, and it's very hard to tell, but survivors, it's usually not too hard to notice when it's happening on either side. Games will go slower as a killer, and you just see a survivor who doesn't touch a generator. They're just not fun. They have some use, but they're just not fun. The backpack killer. The backpack killer is characters who will run Iron Grit. Oh fuck, what are they? Iron Grit, Agitation. What's that perk that the Legion has where, like, if they attack and they miss, they can immediately attack anyways? This is somebody who doesn't give a shit about winning. This is a killer who just wants to carry somebody around and just wants to beat people. They will refuse to hook people. They just want to go around and they just want to smack people as much as they can while they're carrying somebody on some. They're basically dunking people without actually winning. Bonus points if the survivor goes along with it and refuses to struggle. It's very silly. I don't really run into it too often, but it's very silly when they do. Boon Meg. Boon Meg. Here's somebody who goes up to a totem and they apply boon to it. And then they leave, and then it's gone. And then they immediately go back to the same totem. And it keeps going on and on and on and on. When somebody places a boon down like once or twice, then it can be potentially useful in niche situations. So when it's constantly happening, the survivor's just wasting the time of everybody. If you get a boon meg, eventually you just want to destroy the totems, because otherwise they're going to be wasting their time, and they're just going to be throwing the game. They are not useful to anybody. Killers, on the other hand, will be more than happy to go against them, because it takes 3 seconds for them to go up to the same exact totem, turn off the boon, and then move on to go after somebody else. Now that Circle of Healing has been nerfed as it should be, boon megs aren't nearly as much of an issue as they used to be. But when you're a survivor, you don't want them. The flashlight clickers, these are the people who wear the most obvious to see outfits, they'll follow the killer around when they're chasing somebody, and they just refuse to leave the killer alone. Now, as killer, you don't give a shit because they're wasting their time following you around. As survivor, especially when you're in chase and you see some asshole following you all the time, it's just unfun. You've lost. It's not your fault. It's the fault of the person who's just following two of you. As killer, and I love getting them as killer because when I'm chasing somebody and I know that the shirtless Dave who brought the swamp offering is following me, I know that I can just keep chasing somebody and every once in a while just randomly do a 180, take a random smack, and I know I'm going to hit them. Overall, they're not wanted. Chest guarding Bubba. I don't understand this one. I don't understand the cannibals who go into a game and their first thought is, I'm going to go to the basement and I'm just going to protect that chest, and damn you if you think you're going to get it. It's very confusing to me. I don't understand why they turn on the game. They're a very confusing person. That being said, actually coming across one, especially if they're using Insidious, can be kind of funny. I had a match the other day where it's like 2 generators are done, 3 generators are done. Oh well, it's a trap-based killer, and they're kind of new to the game. I just got to keep my eyes on the floor or something. Probably Trapper, because I remember hearing generic terror radius music. He's like the only one who can fit the bill. 4 generators are done. 5 generators are done. Gates are open. I don't understand what's going on. Well, you know what? I'm going to go and I'm going to get an item. And the only place that I know will have an item, assuming it hasn't been looted yet, is the basement. And so you go down into the basement, you go down, get to the chest. Bubba's hiding right behind the wall, and you just do a 180. Just, nope! So it has potential funny value, but God, I will not understand the people that do it. Disconnect against low-tier killers. You've been there. You're playing against Freddy, Pig, Legion. Someone who's just very well known for being absolute garbage. A teammate goes down and they immediately disconnect. Like, what you're playing against the worst killer in the game. Like the clown or something. What more do you need? What more? It's like, what's so awful about Freddy? It's like, oh, I stepped in a blood puddle. My shoes are dirty. Oh, no. Oh, man. Oh, I'm disconnecting now. Like, why are you playing Dead by Daylight at that point? Absolute trash. Rat Claudettes. These are survivors, usually Claudette, but other survivors that can blend in with the environment work too. These are survivors who will just go into hiding the second that there's any terror radius whatsoever. They'll help you heal, they'll do generators, but the second that there's even a hint that the killer's going to be nearby, you're not going to find them. Now, because they are doing things, they can still be useful. They're just not very useful. So, I'm going to put them in D tier. Because in the off chance the killer never goes anywhere near them, they still help with the game. Farmers. Farmers are just killers that don't really want to play. They're just there to help people get blood points. They're the people who, when you go into a game, they find a survivor, they start running, they immediately like do a 180, go to the nearest pallet, and start attacking it. And it's... I understand farmers can be useful early on, but when you have everything unlocked, it's just, why are you here? Why? They have a place in the game, but the more you play the game, the less you'll want farmers. The ones that like 2-hook everybody and keep track of it and then go into farming mode are better because they're still at least like kind of playing the game. But somebody who just goes over and immediately starts the farming process, I don't care for. I'll put them under C though, because I recognize them. I recognize them as being potentially important for some people. Next up we have the flashlight survivors. We had the survivors that are just come after me, chase me, whatever. They do literally nothing but try to get the killer's attention to go after them. Flashlight survivors are the survivors that still follow the killer and the survivor in a chase. They won't be as obvious about it sometimes, but you know, it's the fucking flashlight value. Got to get that flashlight value, man. It's really important. And it's like, just do a generator. And you know they're not going to make it. You know they're not going to get the flashlight done. They're not going to save you because they're going to aim at like 70 degrees away from their face. The thing is that sometimes they do manage to land a save, but they spend so much time. They spend so much time doing it when they could be doing something more important. You know what? F. No. We're gonna go D. We're gonna go D. Gens before friends. You've been put on the hook. Somebody else gets put on the hook. A third person intercepted towards getting to one of you gets on the hook. It's down to the last person to try to rescue everybody. Oh, they're still doing generators. We still have 3 to go. There's no reason to. What are you doing? What are you doing? Do not. Stop. Rescue somebody. There are times when it's more important to do generators. I had a game against the Twins not too long ago, actually, where I managed to keep them busy for a while, but ultimately I eventually went down because I misread where they were. Victor is surprisingly good at disorienting you. And, you know, I got put on the hook. And there were 2 generators left. But the rest of the team were doing the generators, and it took long enough for me to go into another hook state. But it was the right call, They got the generators done. They got a gate open. It's like they got the closest gate open, and everybody managed to get out. So there's times when it can be useful to put generators over rescuing people. Most of the time, though, it's just, what are you doing? Stop it. Help your friends. You're not getting out without them. Hit and runners. Hit and run killers. A killer comes in, they know you're on a generator. Usually it's a stealth killer. Wraith is a very popular choice, but they come in, they hit you, you run off, and that's the end. They go out, they hit people, they fuck off, and they just keep doing it until they down people and can get them on hooks. Doing generators is not fun. The fun part of Dead by Daylight is the chase and mind gaming people, and all around just you're trying to outsmart the other player. There is no outsmarting in somebody who plays a stealth killer and uses hit and run tactics, where they just come in, they smack you, they do everything they can to make sure you can't heal, and they fuck off and they don't come back until you're in a vulnerable position again. There's nothing fun about that. Leon. You know those games. You join into the lobby, and you look at your teammates, and fuck. One of them's a Leon. I don't understand it. I don't understand what it is about this game where, like, it's like a universal rule where if you pick Leon, you have to suck. I don't understand why. I don't understand why that is. I understand at the end of the day, it's still just somebody playing the game, doing their best to win the game, you know. And the fact that they're playing Leon has nothing to do with it. But I don't understand what it is about Leon that destroys people's brain cells. Trick shooters. Trick shooters are willing to throw the game. Trick shooters are not in here to win this game. Trick shooters are here to make the most awesome looking shots possible. These are the people that are going to be throwing between the holes in the wall, making lob shots. It's like hitting from across the map. These are the killers that are going to be doing that. The fact that they win or lose does not matter to them. They just want to look cool doing it. And when you go down to a shot like that, you can't even be mad. You just look at it, you realize what happened, and wow, that's actually pretty impressive. They're just nothing but the S tier in this game. By far. Did I put this guy in A tier for some reason? No, that's an S tier. Sorry. I don't know why I put that on A tier. Map offering survivors. Awful. But not completely awful. Mostly awful. When somebody uses a map offering, 9 times out of 10, they are using it because they know that the map is horrifyingly survivor-sided, and they can't stand the thought of being pitted against somebody where they might have a slight disadvantage in comparison. Now, there are people that play map offerings that may not necessarily make sense. It's like a survivor that uses Dead Dog Saloon, like maybe they just want a challenge. They could also have perks that are best used on that map. You can't really know until the game's over. And of course, there's other things like Macmillan Estate. Is it Macmillan Estate? Or like Auto Haven. Whereas like they just want a fair and balanced map. Those people are pretty cool. It's the people that play Eyrie of Crows, or Bedham, or The Game, or fucking Raccoon City. Those people are awful. Those are the F tier. The no-gen slowdown killer. Now, it's generally agreed that you need to have at least one slowdown in order to stand a chance in this game. There are some killers that are exceptions. The Nurse, for example. these are people that play the game without any slowdown, as the name would imply. Pop goes the weasel? No. Infection? No. It's just, or is it infection? I don't remember. There's too much to remember. Point is, they refuse to use, they don't do anything that affects generators. Now, some killers are simply not going to win if they don't have any of these. A trapper is not going to have a fun time if they don't have 1 or 2 slowdown perks. And, you know, it's nothing worth mentioning if it's a blight or a nurse. But most killers that win without a slowdown perk is just respectable, I feel. Now, pre-pallet drop. So, the pre-pallet drop survivor is a bit weird. Basically, a survivor goes up to a pallet while they're in chase and it immediately goes down. Then you destroy it and they go to the next one and it immediately goes down. These are survivors that are taking the safest option possible. Now, there's a couple of factors to consider with this. But for the most part, it throws away the mind gaming aspect of the whole thing. Either they throw down the pallet as quickly as they can, and they go to the next one because they assume you're going to destroy that one, or they just go around that one until you eventually destroy it, which still has some mind gamery. Assuming it's not a god pallet, of course. A god pallet, yes. There is sometimes where it's a good idea to throw the pallet earlier than usual, or even as soon as you get to one. Killers that affect your movement speed, like Clown or Nightmare, Freddy, I mean, makes sense. Like, you might want to throw them down early. For the most part, you're just creating a massive dead zone. PTB Clown. This isn't only for clowns, but the public test beta clown is somebody who spends like the hour downloading the public test beta version of the game, going onto the test, and selecting a killer that is not changed at all. These are the times, public test beta, you're not getting a game as killer within 5 minutes. These are the people that are sitting there for 5 minutes waiting to get a game just to play against people as the clown or whoever is not changed at the moment, and for everybody to immediately disconnect so that they can get into the next game in 10 seconds. They are just a weird enigma. I don't understand them. I don't understand why you would go through this much effort. I kind of have to respect it. I kind of have to respect it. The perk value. The perk value. This is the perk value player. This is somebody who will play the game, often in a way to their detriment, for the sole purpose of getting value on whatever perks they brought. What do we have here? What is that? I don't know. I don't even know what that perk is. I don't even know what that perk is. We're like, instead of doing generators, they're going out to do something that makes no sense just so perk goes from dark to bright. These people are very detrimental to a game most of the time. Self-care. Self-care survivors are the worst. They waste so much time just trying to keep themselves healthy. And there's times when it's better to stay injured than it is to heal. Now, I'll admit there are times when self-care is a good perk, but they're so rare. 9 times out of 10, you're better off bringing an aura perk that shows you where a friend is and just going to them instead. So that's another D. Try hard until one is dead. Basically what it says. The killer just goes absolutely batshit and is just super try-hard mode. But then they get 1 kill or a set number of kills and it's just, oh, hey everybody, I'm friendly now, let's farm. This is bullshit. This is absolute bullshit. Do not do this. You either farm or you go full asshole. I don't care which one you do. But you are just fooling yourself into thinking that you're being super cool with people when you do this. Do not do this. Do not do this. Okay. The YouTube copiers. These are the people who saw something really cool, really awesome on YouTube, and they're like, I can do that too. And then they die. That's about it. They see something, they don't realize how much effort it takes to do something or how unlikely it is that something happens, and they just, they screw up. As killer, it's a free down. As a survivor, it's just frustrating. People who feel a need to show off for no reason will always be frustrating. Now, the people that can actually pull the shit off, they're not bad. They're pretty good. And they can potentially help to win the game, but most of them are just, I saw it, I can do it too. The Nemesis. The Nemesis is somebody who goes full in character. And they pick one person, and they refuse to go after anyone else until that person is dead. Now, most of the time, it's just, oh, this person is tunneling me. This is awful. I don't know what it is about Nemesis. I don't know if it's just the fact that it's in character, or if it's just the funny way he runs. You just look at Nemesis tunneling someone and you just, aw, he's doing what he does. I'm gonna put him in A because there's nothing else there. The Rat Claudette. This is just the same thing as the normal Rat Claudette. This is the same thing as the normal I hide, but they just hide. They'll come in and they'll rescue and they'll hide somewhere. And the killer will come back and they'll see that you're there, but they don't see this person. It's just, well, I guess I'm tunneling then. Are they going to come out from their hiding spot to take a hit for you? Fuck no. They are the absolute worst people. Any killer that's worth their salt will look for and deal with these people as quickly as possible. Tunnel these rats out of the game. If you rescue and you're not willing to protect somebody without good reason, if you're on death hook, then that's fine. That's more reasonable. If you haven't been caught yet, protect who you rescue. We got the gate teabaggers. You're just an instant F. You're just an instant F. People that will sit there for the entire 2 minutes and they refuse to win until they are forced to. This is just being a sore winner at this point. Nothing in this game pisses me off more than a sore winner, which the game is fucking rife with them. I can understand people being sore winners if, like, the killer went out of their way to tunnel them or camp them very early. If this happens at the end of the game, this is still not a good excuse, because that's all they have. But if the killer tunneled you or camped you at 5 or 4 gens, and you still somehow got out into the exit gate, fine. They deserve a little bit of bad mannerism. They deserve a little bit of bad mannerism. But most of the time, at least when I'm playing killer, it's just, what are you doing? Why are you here? The goal is right behind you. Just go. Just go. And finally, we have the nurse disconnection hater. It's just an immediate F. This is a person who plays a top tier killer and somebody disconnected because they didn't want to play it, or they killed themselves on hook more likely. Somebody who disconnects at least still gives you a bot that can at least try to help, but like the first person they caught killed themselves because it's just a horrifyingly sweaty nurse or something. Whether that's understandable or not is for every person to decide, but that does happen. And so the other 3 people at 5 generators without a 4th person are perfectly aware that they lost. They have no chance. So they go over. It's like they just make themselves very easy targets. Maybe even just run up to a hook and point to it. And the nurse says, no. This is the killer equivalent of the sore winning survivor. You're just keeping people around because how dare that person ruin the game for you? How dare that person ruin the game for everybody? You're going to ruin it more. And just like the teabagging survivor, there's almost nothing you can do about it. There are certain perks that you can use to, like, get yourself back up when the nurse doesn't expect it, and maybe you can hide until everybody else is dead, which is still a tall order, but it's still just, you're being unfun. You're being unfun at that point. Stop it. Why are you playing a multiplayer video game if you're just gonna sit here and watch paint dry? Anywho, that's all I've got. This has been a very obvious, very easy to read tier list. Definitely did not need to look up the original source to figure out what some of these meant before. Definitely not. This has been Technature Gaming, asking himself yet again, what am I doing with my life?